Hello, Susan Clark with you to provide some special music for your service today at the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm going to start out the day with a song that I wrote. It's called Ancient Voices Call to Me. And this song brings back a really nice memory from a few years back. Reverend Martha Quintana was having her ordination service ceremony, and at that time, we were meeting at Hotel Albuquerque in the wedding chapel. That's where Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living had its beginnings. Some of you might remember that. And we had a choir that we put together, and we were up in the balcony in the back of the sanctuary, and we sang this song per Martha's request. It's called Ancient Voices Call to Me. Ancient voices call to me. I can hear them in my dreams, telling me the soul lives on long after my body's gone. The soul lives on and on and on, carries me to higher ground, never lost, always found. The soul lives on and on and on. The soul lives on. Ancient voices call to me. I can hear them in my dreams, telling me that love lives on long after the hatred's gone. The soul lives on and on and on, carries me to higher ground, never lost, always found. Love lives on and on and on. Love lives on. Ancient voices call to me. I can hear them in my dreams, telling me that peace lives on long after the wars are gone. Peace lives on and on and on, carries me to higher ground, never lost, always found. Peace lives on and on and on. Peace lives on. Ancient voices call to me. I can hear them in my dreams, telling me the soul lives on long after the body's gone. The soul lives on and on and on, carries me to higher ground, never lost, always found. The soul lives on and on and on. The soul lives on and on and on and on and on. Kuda shembe, pe wano hai.
Good morning. Welcome to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. We teach the science of mind so that we can all live lives of fulfillment and contribute to a world that works for everyone. I am practitioner Marilyn O'Leary. We would not be able to bring this Sunday service to you without the loving service of many dedicated people. During our virtual services, they are our tech team, our practitioners on High Watch, Kathy Mathiasen and Teresa Greco, and others, and offering the invocation and benediction, practitioner Greg Gardner, as well as Dr. Norm Dawson for announcements. Our talk today will be delivered by our own interim minister, Reverend Karen Linsley. So, would you please join me in reading our vision and mission statements? Vision: transforming our world with the power of love in action. Mission: loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. Now we will have our invocation by practitioner Greg Gardner.
Welcome to this beautiful coming together of celebration this morning. And now I invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes for a few moments. As we allow the stillness of the moment to fall gently across our shoulders, I feel the safety, peace, and openness of the moment. As we join those millions across the planet who come together today to celebrate spirit, each of us in our own language and culture and tradition. They in temples and mosques and cathedrals across the globe, in homes, kivas, around campfires across the globe. I feel that connection with Creator and with those kindred spirits. My eyes and mouth soften. My heart opens. I call forth the loving presence of Spirit to be with each of us today across the planet as we celebrate together. And in calling it forth, I know that Spirit can only respond with, yes, my beloved, I am with you. I am with you. You are safe. You are loved beyond measure. So knowing that we are loved beyond measure, I bless this service this morning and everyone who makes it possible. I bless our volunteers, our technology queen, our practitioners, musicians, Susan, and each and every one of us within sound of my voice. I especially bless Reverend Karen and her message as she shares with us today, declaring the divine that lives in, through, and yes, as us today. And so knowing that all is well, as we begin our celebration, please join me by announcing with me, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. That was beautiful. For our first reading today, we will read our sacred covenant in faith, knowing that our new senior minister is on their way. The Rio Grande Sacred Covenant Easy Prayer. Easy because when we get into alignment with this prayer, our senior minister comes to us. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes a presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is a fulfillment of that which has been promised by God, for it is written, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unifying and growing our community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspired to live in unity as an expression of wholeness and love. I am encouraging and supporting spiritual growth, awakening the wisdom within me. I am serving as a healer to all, applying the power of love, wisdom, and unity. I am generating engagement of the community in mystical studies and spiritual teachings. I am collaborating with community organizations working in service of a world that works for everyone. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will glorify God and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious. So be it now. Amen. That's a powerful prayer. We urge you to say that daily. Our first reading today, that was our first reading. Our second reading is a reading from the Science of Mind magazine for February, and it's from an article by Raymond Anderson. And the title of the article is Love in Me, As Me, Is Me. This is just a part of that article. Let's speak not about self-love, but rather about the power of radical self-love. Radical because it is above and beyond what we have done before. Radical because for many of us it is an entirely new consciousness. Radical because of its profound impact on our own lives and as a result, the lives of those around us. Having lived many years in a state of low self-esteem, low self-worth, and self-hatred, which resulted in self-destructive attitudes and behaviors, I found my turning point when I read these words in the pages of Ideas of Power. For the only God you and I will ever know is the one we embody. Never forget that. Taking Ernest Holmes' words to heart, I reasoned that if the only God you and I will ever know is the one I embody, does this not invite me into a different level of honoring the divine? Does this not invite us into a different relationship with and as the divine? The way we care for, value, and love ourselves is in the exact corresponding manner that we care for, value, and love the divine as it individualizes itself in us, through us, and as us. Now, let's go back to Susan Clark for some special music.
For my next song, I'm going to do a song called I Sing the Body Electric. So I want you to get in your way back machine and go back to the musical series Fame. And that's where I believe this song made its debut. It's a new one for me. I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion when I become one with the sun. And I'll look back on Venus, I'll look back on Mars, I'll burn with the fire I sing the body electric. I glory in the glow of rebirth, creating my own tomorrow, when I shall embody the earth. And I'll serenade Venus, I'll serenade Mars, and burn with the fire of 10 billion stars. And in time, yes, in time, we will all be stars. We are stardust, we are golden, we are stars. We are the emperors now, and we are the stars. And in time, yes, in time, we will all be stars. I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion, when I become one with the sun. And I'll look back on Venus, I'll look back on Mars, and I'll shine with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, yes, in time, we will all be stars. And in time, yes, in time, we will all be stars.
Thank you, Susan. Beautiful. We are so happy to have Reverend Karen Linsley, our own interim minister, for our speaker today. Reverend Karen became a practitioner in 2008 and a minister in 2014. Her mission is to teach practical application of science of mind principles to provide a strong and unshakable inner foundation that facilitates long-term successful living. To do this, she has a focus ministry called Fearlessly Feral CSL, through which she produces a podcast of the same name. She teaches online classes and workshops and also does retreats. She is the author of 2 books. In addition, she also serves as interim minister for Centers for Spiritual Living and is currently serving at Rio Grande CSL in that capacity. The title of her talk today is Can I See the God in Me? Reverend Karen.
Thank you, Marilyn. I very much appreciate the introduction, and I'm very happy to be here today. Hello, 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 everybody. So what about that reading that Marilyn did? That's on page 25 in the Science of Mind magazine this month, by the way, in case you're wondering. I know that reading well. And I invite you, as I speak this morning, to contemplate what Raymond Anderson said about radical self-care. And in this contemplation, this sentence by Ernest Holmes, the only God we will ever know is the God that we embody ourselves. And I'm going to quote that again a little bit further in my talk because it's so important to our topic today. So the topic is, can I see the God in me? And excuse me, you know, we get these topics from the global vision themes provided by Centers for Spiritual Living. And the cool thing about these topics is that there are a lot of centers worldwide who are all discussing the same topic, the same theme. The Gather meeting that is typically held by Yvette Trujillo every month. They talk about the global vision themes. So there's this sense of oneness going on here, and that's what seeing the God in ourselves is all about, is oneness. Anyway, I wanted to share with you that this entire month of February is about the inner life, and the inner life is so yummy. The topic is so yummy that I just wanted to talk briefly about the topics for the whole month. This week, of course, we'll be talking about oneness, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But next week takes us to one of my two most favorite spiritual practices. Building upon the foundation of oneness that we create this week, we are then encouraged to do the spiritual practice of what Centers for Spiritual Living calls self-awareness. And they call it that in a class that we teach called Spiritual Principles and Practices. So did you know that self-awareness is a spiritual practice? It's no longer just about meditation and treatment. There's 8 total spiritual practices in the class. Personal self-awareness happens to be one of my 2 most favorite of all the spiritual practices. There might be some days when I don't have as much time to do spiritual practices than others, like today, for example. Not a lot of time to meditate. 9 a.m. in the morning comes pretty early for me because I'm an hour ahead of you guys. Yeah. So it's pretty early. I did my spiritual practice this morning because I got up and the first thing I did after saying thank you was, what am I feeling today? What's going on inside of me today? And if there's anything that needed to be addressed, I addressed it. And I may go back and address some more later, but I addressed it. Later, I will meditate. Later, I will do some treatment. Later, I will do some spiritual study. Later, I might journal. But that introspection, I call it introspection, I do every single day, no matter what. So I don't miss that particular spiritual practice. Next week, upon that foundation of oneness and through the spiritual practice of personal self-awareness, the 3rd week brings us the topic of forgiveness. And that happens to be my 2nd most favorite spiritual practice. Now, forgiveness isn't listed as a spiritual practice. Actually, it is. It's listed under compassion in the class. But it's a subtopic. As far as I'm concerned, it's a main topic. I believe forgiveness to be the most powerful spiritual practice that we can do. It might also be one of the most difficult as well. But personally, I get more benefits and more gifts and more good, yummy stuff from a good, honest, radical forgiveness practice than I do anything else. The end of the month is wrapped up by diving into love and fear. So I encourage you to really take a good look at all of those topics this month, to really look at your inner life, because this is where the meat is. This is what it's all about. Life happens from within, not from without. We start and begin within. So let's go back to this week's topic, shall we? Here's the summary that I was given in our outline. We are dressed in a body and we have a personality, but we are so much more than that. We are divine beings who have come to work on our consciousness, to remember who we truly are, to remember our essential being. For this, we have dressed in this suit of flesh that is the vehicle we need to function on this plane of existence and fulfill our purpose of transformation. Now, I agree with all of that, but that's a mouthful, and I'd like to reword it a bit to kind of simplify it and also go a little bit deeper, because I think it just kind of skirts around the issue of being able to see the God in us, to practice true oneness. Ernest Holmes said, "We are unique and individualized manifestations of spirit." And I believe that. Ernest Holmes said it. Unique and individualized manifestations of spirit. That's what I am, and that's what you are. God lives and works and lives and lives and works through and as us. As us. And I want to suggest, and I believe this for myself, we are here so that God can experience the physical, because there's no other way God can do so except through us. Here's where that embodying God comes in. If God's here, if the only way God can experience the physical is through us, then wouldn't it be delightful if we always embodied the qualities of spirit? If we do nothing else in life, if we be nothing else in life, do and be this, know and feel your oneness with God. And getting back to that summary, I do believe that our primary job here is transformation, to work on our consciousness, to go deeper and bigger in the journey of knowing our true selves and remembering who and what we truly are. Our purpose is and always will be transformation through an ever greater belief in an embodiment of our oneness with God. Do you see how that's the foundation? The only way we can transform ourselves is to know an ever greater oneness with God. And it's from oneness that we can live successfully. And what does successful living mean? What does it look like to you? You might want to contemplate that this week as you're moving through this inner journey. I'll give you a little bit about what I think successful living is. I think we're a success if we respond with curiosity and joy to life's events. Yes, even those events. Now, we might not be able to get to the joy right away, but eventually we get to the joy. But always with curiosity. That's really interesting. What's that about? Curiosity. We're a success if we live with open minds and hearts. You know, at the convention, one of the first speakers said that the only way we can experience God is through vulnerability. And I have found this to be true. And the only way to have an open mind and an open heart is to be vulnerable. There's a balance in there. I'm currently learning about that balance. How do I stay open? How do I stay vulnerable and still practice that radical self-care? Might be another thing to contemplate this month, huh? I know that's what I'm contemplating this month. I called a mentor last night and I said, how do you do that? She said, I don't have a clue. And we laughed. It's a tough one. How do we stay open and vulnerable? Because that is so incredibly necessary. And yet, keep our wits about us, stay grounded, not allow people to take advantage of us and walk all over us. How do we do that? That's our task, one of our tasks this week. I also believe that we are a success if we can live in peace with ourselves and others. If we can know and feel peace no matter what. And we are a success if we can navigate what we judge to be, quote unquote, the so-called bad things in life, like change and loss, with dignity and with grace. We are a success if we can have faith that in all things are ultimately for our highest good. Knowing this even as we are crying tears of grief or experiencing anger or frustration or sadness. We are a success. Oh, excuse me. I lost my place here. There we go. A little bit of technical stuff going on here. We are a success if we can look at a pebble or the dust motes floating in a beam of sunlight and wonder at the wonder of all. It's easy to sense the wonder in a beautiful sunset, but can we sense the wonder at dust motes floating in a beam of sunlight? Think about that. Can you look at the ocean and not only sense the wonder, but remember the nice, beautiful metaphor that just as a drop of water in the ocean is part of the ocean, so are we a drop in this God stuff? That's another way of viewing oneness. And I know that we resist this concept. It is almost universally and culturally accepted that there's absolutely no way, no how we could be one with God. We go through life not only being taught that God is separate, but also being taught that it is blasphemy to think anything else. And then we show up on the doorsteps of places like this, and all of a sudden we're taught, wait a minute, there's another way to think about things. There's another way to do things. There's another way to be and show up in the world. And I know it's sometimes difficult to overcome that old programming, but I believe that we must if we are to be truly happy in this world. Oneness is the foundation of what we teach here. It is the beginning and the ending. And when we fight that, it doesn't, I don't know about you guys, but if I fight that, it doesn't feel good. I need to remember to look for and see and feel the God, not only in myself, but in every one of you. Now, I work with people. I'm a minister. I see behavior that sometimes causes me to forget my own oneness. I get angry. I get dismayed. I feel betrayed. And when that happens, I need to retreat and do my own spiritual practices and get back to oneness before I address the very human issues at hand. And I believe that it is our responsibility to do that, every last one of us. You know, they told us in ministerial school that the only way we could be an effective spiritual leader was to be fully healed, to do our own inner work first. And I believe that too. I'm working on a podcast right now. Tentative title, working title is, do you live to serve, or do you serve to live? And there's a difference between the two. I believe living to serve is a much more effective way to go about doing things. We begin within and we live first, and we take care of our stuff first, and then we serve. This is our responsibility. I really believe this. And I believe that our teaching demands this of us. I know this is not an easy journey, especially in days like today. We've all got things we want to see happen. We all get frustrated. We all get dismayed. It is only when we go back to center and become grounded and know our truth and embody qualities of spirit that we can eliminate the need for acting in unkind and unhuman and inelegant and ungraceful ways. We go back to center and we embody God, and we remember who and what we are. And we eliminate the need for doing all of that very human stuff. So this is important. We need to see the God in ourselves and act like it. We need to ask ourselves the tough questions and get the answers and reaffirm our faith and our ultimate truth. And our ultimate truth is that each one of us is a unique and individualized manifestation of God. We get to embody those qualities of spirit that we like to throw around here, you know, love and wisdom and joy and power, those things. Yeah, we get to embody those. And every time we get discouraged, we get to do it all over again. Paradoxically, every time I do that, I come out the other end knowing another nugget of truth about myself. And I come out the other end feeling even more closer to that thing called God than I did when I went into that experience. Imagine that, if we're open and willing to look at that kind of stuff. So I want to reiterate that quote that I threw at you in the beginning. This quote, by the way, yes, Raymond Anderson quoted it in the Science of Mind magazine on page 25 in this month's issue, but it came from Ernest Holmes in a little book called Ideas of Power. And that little book is part of a series called the Ernest Holmes Papers. You might be able to find some paperback versions of it floating around somewhere. Again, the only God you and I will ever know is the one we embody. Never forget that. So our call this week is to embody God more than ever, to feel that oneness, not just think about it, to walk as if we are godlings, moving through this physical plane, asking ourselves in every situation, what would God do? Because that's who and what we are. To recall the wonder of things like joy and wisdom and love and power, all those things that we call quality of God, and strive to be those qualities. And so I pray. I pray with a treatment for oneness. And I acknowledge that God is indeed all there is. We might call it by various names. I particularly am fond of the stuff that is, comes from Ernest Holmes. Spirit. I also like the force. It doesn't matter what we call it. I see this God everywhere I look. In the sky, in the ground, in the birds, in the four-legged critters. And I feel it in me because I know that God is everywhere present. And so from this place of oneness, I speak my word for more oneness. I speak my word for that deep knowingness that I am one with God. I speak my word knowing that the God I know today is the God that I embody. So I also speak for embodiment today. I speak for actively seeking out all the qualities of God, and we be those qualities. I be love, I be power, I be joy, I be wisdom. And so I walk emanating those qualities in all of my affairs. I speak love, I claim my power, I feel joy, and I radiate wisdom. I am one. And so with great gratitude for this teaching called Science of Mind, I release my words into that law that is enthusiastically jumping up and down and saying, yes, 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 to my words. And so it is. Thank you very much, and namaste.
And so it is. Beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Karen. Now it's our time to share our abundance. And abundance is, of course, another characteristic of divine spirit. And one good way for us to feel abundant, besides being grateful for all that we have, is to give. And so maybe you want to try a little experiment today. At the bottom of your screen are various ways to give. And you've maybe heard me talk about calling that number, texting that number on your phone, because it's so easy. And just give something, because it makes a huge difference to our center. Whatever you feel like giving. And it's kind of fun. I mean, try it, see what happens. And it goes from your heart to the heart of the center. So try that and know that your offerings are essential to our ministries. And we are so sincerely grateful for all that you can share with us. So please say the giving affirmation with me. I am abundant and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars. And so I give and receive generously, and so it is. So while we are giving, while we are thinking about all of our abundance, we will have another song from our guest musician, Susan Clark.
I'm going to do a song for you that was written by Jamie Lula. I'm sure most of you have heard Jamie's music. If not, please do look him up online, Jamie Lula. He's pretty easy to find. He's everywhere out there. A great singer-songwriter. This song of his is called Perfect. In my eyes, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, in my life I have been searching for something, but you were my dream. You're perfect, you're golden, you're light, you're love. You're perfect, you're golden, you're my light, my love. When I breathe, when I swallow, caress, I feel. When I listen, I hear the most beautiful music out of nowhere. You're perfect, you're golden, you're light, my love. You're perfect, you're golden, you're my light, my love. When I'm sad and dark, shallow and in doubt, when I'm trying my best to put one foot in front of the other, oh, you're perfect, you're golden, you're the light of my life, you're my love from forever. In your reflection, I'm perfect, so I'll keep looking at you to keep witnessing my perfection. In you is me, and all the angels sing, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da-da. La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, you're perfect, you're golden, you're light, you're love.
Thank you, Susan. And now would you all help me bless these offerings that have been given? Maybe they were given via our text here. Maybe people have been writing checks and mailing them in. And maybe people are having direct deposits from their checkbooks. However you're giving, please continue to give. And thank you for those. And help me bless these now with this prayer. O divine giver of life, we gratefully accept these and all your gifts on behalf of our congregation and its ministry. We honor each gift and giver and declare that our abundance is increased 100-fold. Thank you all. And I want to just make a short, give you a short message about where we are with our search for our new senior minister. And what I want to do is ask you to keep paying attention to our newsletter, to announcements that we give, because we hope to be scheduling the minister candidates at the end of March and at the beginning of April to come here to our center to give a Sunday talk, to give a workshop or a class, and to meet with you. So, as you can tell, we really are wanting and planning these meetings to be in person and not virtual. So that's one reason we need to plan it according to what's going on. Is it safe to meet in person? And we are keeping posted on that, and we will certainly keep you posted on that. So thank you. I also want to welcome any visitors. If you're visiting us online, we hope that you drop by our center, because our bookstore, our wonderful bookstore, is open from 10 to 3, Monday through Thursday. And we would love to meet you. And there are lovely gifts there at our bookstore. So please stop by and see us. And our address is on our website and on our newsletter. I want to talk about prayer. Our licensed practitioners are in service to pray for you. You can request prayer online at rcgsl.org, rgcsl.org. If you go into our website, go to the top of the page and top of the menu, you'll see a menu item that says prayer request. Click on that and you can enter your request there. They are sent out to all the practitioners, and we pray for you and your prayer requests all week. So please take advantage of that. We are willing and love to pray for you. Also, join us on Zoom after this virtual service for an opportunity to talk with other members of our community. We will have a Zoom social hall. You find the link and password on our weekly e-bulletin. So go into the e-bulletin, which is wonderful, and please look for our link and password and join us for the social hall. Now we are going to go to Dr. Norm Dawson to share our announcements, and that will be followed by Greg Gardner, who will give a benediction, and then Susan Clark for the closing song. Dr. Norm, welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn, and good morning, everybody. And thank you, Reverend Karen, for a message. My takeaway was live to serve. And Susan, your music, just so passionate the way you deliver that. So thank you for being here. All the information I'm going to share with you now is in the newsletter or online at the website. Did you know, here it is February, did you know that February is one of the most misspelled English words? And February isn't just about the month of love. It's also about Black history, responsible pet owners, national women inventors, national library lovers, and even spunky old broads. So we did a whole list of that in the newsletter. In the February recommendation from the Mothership Centers for Spiritual Living book is Radical Self-Forgiveness, the Direct Path to True Self-Acceptance by Colin C. Tipping. That is available online. Also in February, it takes a village. We love our volunteers, and the volunteers really make a difference here. Especially take away from Reverend Karen. She said, live to serve. Here's a way to do that. Volunteer. There's, very visible leadership roles, and there's behind the scenes tasks that need to be done. And volunteering allows you to meet others, deepen your connection to the community, and to contribute to greater good. Many opportunities are listed in the newsletter. Compassion Ministries has a recommendation every week on areas of the community that can be useful for our members. This week is free legal help for seniors. This is the Legal Resources for the Elderly program, free statewide helpline for New Mexico residents that are 55 years and older. And it's not based on your income. So, hey, if you got yachts and mansions, you want to get some legal help, you can. If you don't have those resources, you still get the free legal help. So it's a great service that this organization provides. Okay, don't forget reoccurring events are in February. Of course, both of these events are reoccurring. Course in Miracles, Thursdays from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. And the Celebration of Life Grief support is on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month from 4 to 6. So check your newsletter and find out all the details about these exciting announcements. And that's all today. Live from New Mexico, Sunday morning announcements.
As our time together this morning comes to a close, I know we share that consciousness of being one with Spirit, part of oneness, and closer to those millions across the globe who each celebrate today in their own way. I bless us as we move into the remainder of our day and know that we do so in safety, peace, and love. Knowing that all is well, please join me as we finish our time together today by declaring, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you for having me as your special guest musician today. Even though it was a virtual visit, I still enjoyed being with you. And I know that very soon we'll be back together in person in the sanctuary. But until then, let's close with an Eddie Watkins Jr. song that I often close with when I'm there with you in person. And this is called I Am the Place Where God Shows Up. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday and a great week. And I will see you soon. Place. You are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. Yes, you are. You are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. We are the place. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. We are the place indeed. We are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up.